Okay, so in this short lesson we will look at a few constructors, especially we have seen this default constructor which takes no arguments. We usually call constructors to initialize instance variables, and so in this case now the default constructor is not so useful because we are not providing arguments. So we would like to have a constructor which takes a few arguments corresponding to the instance variables year, make and model for this car example. So we will say int year, maybe we'll make first, so string make string model int year. So this is a constructor that takes 3 arguments, and then this is the declaration of the constructor. And always remember, constructors have the same name as the class and they don't return anything, not even void. So that's a standard, that's how the compiler knows that it's a constructor. So now we will refactor, add the definition in car.cpp, and now we have to use these variables. Make, this is a parameter that's passed to the method, the constructor, and then we will use this to initialize our instance variable correspondingly. So we will say make underscore, which is our instance variable, equals make model equals model, and year equals year. So this is a standard way a constructor can be used to initialize instance variables. Now since we just learned about also initialization list, and I will later on tell you how this is useful to why this is sometimes it's better to use initialization list to initialize instance variables. I'll show you what we can do here, how to use initialization list to initialize instance variables. So basically we will, for now I'll just comment this code, and essentially I told you that we put a colon and then we put the variable name that we want to initialize, the instance variable, and then in parentheses, as you notice here on line 17, we passed a value 2015, but now in this case we have a value that's passed, a parameter that's passed to the constructor, so we will use that to initialize the year. And same thing for make and model. Okay, and then there is nothing required inside the constructor, but just for our learning purposes, as I said, we would put some debug code. We don't really need it, we don't usually do it, but for learning and for debugging this could be useful. And remember, this is within the conditional compilation, so if debug macro is defined up here, then only compiler will see this line, otherwise not. So we want to make sure while when we produce the code or give it in production, we will undef debug, so we will not see this output, see out here, which is what we want. And right now, instead of default car class constructor, I'll say 3 argument car class constructor called. So you can see that when this particular constructor is called in main.cpp, now we have seen 3 different ways of creating objects. So now I am going to add, actually I'll just edit this code here now to use the 3 argument constructor. Actually I'll do this, which is probably a better idea. I'll create a function int def constructor, just organize a little bit and put all this code in here, and so that I can leave the code and I don't just for your reference, and it doesn't run every time. So now I'm going to copy this code, or maybe I'll just write new so that you can see this. So well, this can be a void function, so I'll make it void. Okay. So a void function 3R constructor, so this is just testing 3R constructor, and I think the name is not good because Okay. We talked about the Google style guide. So usually the functions should start with uppercase, so therefore I'm using same style here, using uppercase for the function names. So 3R constructor, and we'll call first create a car object C, and now this time you can see there is this second version available, the second constructor, which takes 3 values. So first make, so let's put a Ford this time, Ford Taurus. That's another card that I owned in past, so, and I'll put 2016. Okay, and just to see that everything is working fine, I'll say car c.print. Another way is using a pointer. This is a dynamic object, so we will say new car, and same we have the second constructor, so I'm going to actually use the exactly same values here and save time. Okay, so the second constructor using the same values, cptr.print, and to avoid memory leak we will delete cptr, which deletes the objects that cptr is pointing to. And the third way is car c2 equals car, and then again I'll just copy this code and c2.print. Okay, so now these are 3 ways we have talked about of creating car objects. Now this time, instead of using the default constructor, we are using the 3 argument constructor that we just created. So in main I will call the method 3R constructor so that we can see this code in action, and I'll compile and run the code. So you can see now this time we get 3 argument car class constructor called 3 times, and it also prints that car is Ford Taurus year 2016. So looks like everything is working. We have 3 ways to create the objects using 3 argument constructor this time. So that's it for this particular lesson, creating constructors. You can create constructors that take only 1 argument or 2 arguments if required, and we will see later on a constructor that takes only 1 argument, and that's special because C++ compiler uses that constructor sometimes in an interesting way and maybe sometimes in an unintended ways that I want to show you. So that's in another lesson. Okay, bye.